My sister sent out wedding invitations to everyone except me. When I asked why, she replied, "I don't want you at my wedding. You're too unpredictable." I didn't go. But what I sent to the groom made him cancel the wedding altogether. And then, the day I found out my sister didn't invite me to her wedding, I was holding a tray of cupcakes I'd made for her bridal shower. That's not an exaggeration. I was literally walking into my kitchen to frost them when my phone buzzed with a text from a mutual friend. "Hey, got my invite today. Can't wait for Lila's wedding. You must be excited too." My stomach dropped. I hadn't gotten anything. No envelope. No text. Nothing. I brushed it off at first. I even laughed. Thought maybe mine was lost in the mail or she was saving mine for some big reveal. Lila's dramatic like that. Always has been. When we were kids, she used to hide birthday gifts behind fake clues just to make me cry before surprising me with something huge. Classic emotional whiplash. But this time, there was no twist ending. I texted her. No answer. I waited a day. Called her. He picked up like nothing was weird. So I asked. "I didn't get my invite. Was there a mix-up?" And without even pausing, she said, "I didn't send you one. I don't want you at my wedding. You're too unpredictable." That word. Unpredictable. Like I was some unstable animal she didn't trust around her guests. Like I'd jump on the cake and light it on fire. This from the same girl who once called me crying at 2 a.m. because she was scared she ruined her relationship and didn't want to be alone. Who once asked me to lend her money to cover her rent when Daniel ghosted her for a week after their first big fight. I stood there holding a bowl of buttercream frosting, realizing she used me. Used me for help, support, advice. And when it came time to celebrate, she threw me away like nothing ever happened. It would have been enough to just walk away. Honestly, I almost did. But then I remembered something. 2 months ago, she came over with 2 bottles of rose. We sat on my balcony just like we always used to, and she started rambling. She talked about how stressed she was. How Daniel was too intense sometimes. How her ex Adam had messaged her again. At one point she dropped this line. "If I'm being honest, I don't think I'm over him. I still wonder if I made the right choice." I asked if she was serious. She just laughed and said, "Daniel's stable. That's what matters, right? Security. Not feelings." She told me she and Adam had seen each other twice since the engagement. She swore it didn't mean anything. Back then I didn't think too hard about it. But here's the kicker. That entire conversation was recorded. Not because I planned it. I had been recording a voice memo earlier that night, working on something for work, and forgot to turn it off. Captured everything. Every little secret, every sip of wine, every stupid thing she said that she thought would never leave that balcony. After she cut me out of her wedding like a problem she didn't want to deal with, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I listened to it again. And again. And the more I heard her voice talk about using Daniel for money, for security, while sneaking around with her ex, the less I felt sorry for her. And the more I felt sorry for him. Daniel was a good guy. The kind of man who helped our mom carry groceries when he visited. Who offered to fix my sink even though I never asked. Who looked at Lila like she was the only thing keeping him breathing. He didn't deserve to be lied to. So I sent him the recording. No message. No explanation. Just the file. 35 minutes later he replied. "Thank you. I had a feeling." The wedding was cancelled the next morning. But that was only the beginning. The wedding was supposed to be in 12 days. I expected a storm, sure. Maybe a phone call. Maybe her screaming through my voicemail. But I didn't expect silence. That was the part that actually unnerved me. No one told me it was off. I found out the same way everyone else did. Through a 4-sentence Instagram story Lila posted the next morning, white text over a black background. "Due to personal reasons, our wedding has been cancelled. Please respect our privacy at this time. No further details will be shared. Thank you for understanding." The comments flooded in. "OMG, are you okay? What happened? You guys were perfect." I waited. No call from her. No text. Not a single word. But then Daniel texted me again that night. I ended it. "I'm not going to marry someone who was just looking for a paycheck. Thank you for being honest even when she wasn't." I stared at that message for a long time. I don't know what I expected. Guilt? Relief? Satisfaction? All of it at once? But then the real chaos started. It was our parents. My mom showed up at my door the next morning like she was staging an intervention. No warning. Just knocked until I opened, then marched in and started yelling. I didn't even get a full sentence out before she said it. You destroyed your sister's future. Not she lied. Not thank you for protecting Daniel. Just blame all of it squarely on me. My dad called an hour later, more collected but just as cruel. Daniel was going to help us pay off the house, Clara. He had connections. Do you understand what you've done? That's when it hit me. They didn't care about the lie. They cared about the fallout. They cared about the money, the stability, the things Daniel brought to the family, the things Lila had always bragged about. Lila didn't just lose a fiancé. They lost their ticket to comfort. I had ruined the investment. And they all turned on me like I was the traitor. The worst part, Lila still didn't say a word. Not until 3 days later when I got a message from an unknown number. One line. Hope you're happy. I'll never forgive you. That was it. Not a denial. Not an apology. Just the cold aftermath of a choice she forced me into. I didn't reply. But I knew something then. She wasn't just mad because I told the truth. She was mad because she knew I'd finally stopped protecting her. And in the silence that followed, something else happened. Daniel messaged me again. Not angry. Not bitter. Just simple. Direct. Can I ask you something? Did she ever love me at all? I didn't know how to answer that. But I told him the truth. When Daniel asked me if Lila had ever loved him, I stared at my phone for a long time. I thought about lying. Thought about softening it, saying in her own way, or she tried. But the truth was uglier than that, and he already had the worst of it. So I told him what I knew. She loved the life he gave her. But I don't think she ever really saw you. Not the way you saw her. He didn't reply for hours. I assumed that was it. I didn't expect to hear from him again. I didn't even want anything from him. But when he did finally answer, he said, I thought you should know. Your sister told people you made up the audio. She's saying it was AI or edited. That you faked the whole thing. That got under my skin. I shouldn't have been surprised. Lila was good at rewriting reality when it suited her. As kids, she could break something and convince our parents it was me, and they believed her more often than not. She had that ability to act like the victim with absolute conviction. Like she was owed sympathy. This was just another rewrite. Another version of the story where I was the unstable sister with a jealousy problem, out to sabotage her wedding. But I had the original file. I had the time-stamped recording. And if she wanted to push it further, I was ready to make it public. Daniel said something else. I don't want revenge. I just want to move on. But I don't think I can do that without asking you something else. That's when things started to shift. We started talking more, slowly, quietly, in that weird limbo where two people have too much history to be strangers but not enough trust to be anything else. He told me things Lila never had. Like how she refused to let him invite half of his own family. How she threw out a prenup he asked her to sign. How she once told him during an argument, you should be grateful someone like me even said yes. He said he kept telling himself she was just stressed. That weddings made people act crazy. I didn't say much. Just listened. One night he called me instead of texting. Said he couldn't sleep. That everything felt fake now. I told him the weird part was I didn't feel angry anymore. Not even toward Lila. It was something worse. Disappointment. Emptiness. Like I'd spent years building a relationship with someone who only saw me as useful until I wasn't. He was quiet for a long time and then said, you were the only one who told me the truth. And I think you're the only one who ever really saw me. After that night we started meeting up. Not for anything romantic, not yet. Just long walks. Coffee. Shared silence. A kind of cautious friendship built on broken pieces neither of us knew what to do with. Meanwhile, Lila went on a full-blown damage control tour. Posted cryptic stories about betrayal. Claimed she'd been targeted by family. Said the wedding was cancelled for deeply personal reasons that she wouldn't disclose, but that she was focusing on healing. She even had the nerve to message Daniel's sister and say, it's really sad Clara felt like she needed to ruin things for me. But I'm praying for her. Praying. I didn't say anything. Didn't respond. Didn't defend myself. Because she had no idea what was actually happening now. And soon enough she would. 2 weeks after the cancelled wedding, Daniel and I ran into someone we both knew. Mallory, a girl Lila used to work with. We were leaving a bookstore when she spotted us and froze like she'd seen a ghost. Wait. Are you two together now? Daniel looked at me. I didn't say anything. He laughed, awkward, nervous, too loud. Lila's gonna lose her mind when she finds out. That was the first time either of us had really considered what this would look like from the outside. But the thing is, we hadn't done anything wrong. There was no overlap. There were no lies. Just two people who got caught in Lila's orbit and decided to step out of it. Still, that moment was the beginning of the storm. Because, of course, it got back to her. She didn't reach out to me directly. She posted long, passive-aggressive captions about people who pretend to help you while plotting behind your back, and snakes wearing familiar faces. I laughed at first. It was so over the top it felt like high school. But then I got a text from my mom. You need to stop seeing him. This is humiliating. Not how are you? Not are you okay? Just more shame. More pressure to play the villain so Lila could keep playing the victim. And then came the message from Lila herself. A paragraph. Rage disguised as heartbreak. I loved him, Clara. You have no idea what you've done. You always ruin things. You couldn't stand that something wasn't about you. I hope you two are very happy. I'm sure betrayal is a great foundation for a relationship. I stared at it for a while. Thought about replying. Thought about dragging every ugly thing she'd ever said into the light. Thought about sending screenshots, voice memos, receipts. But I didn't. Because she wasn't angry that I ruined her life. She was angry that her lie couldn't keep everyone in place anymore. Daniel wasn't hers. Her perfect wedding wasn't happening. Her image was cracked. Me. I wasn't her safety net anymore. The fallout got worse. A few of her friends blocked me. My dad stopped responding to my texts. My aunt called to say she was disappointed I'd hurt the family like this. Meanwhile, Lila kept spinning the story, that I had been jealous of her life, that I couldn't handle being left out, that I wanted Daniel all along. But I had something stronger than the narrative she was feeding people. The truth. And Daniel had it too. One night, sitting in his apartment, he asked me something I hadn't expected. Did you ever think this would happen? Us. I didn't know what to say. Because no, I hadn't. This whole thing started because I thought I was helping a good man dodge a bullet. But somewhere along the way we found something real in the wreckage. The part Lila never predicted. The part no one saw coming. It was a Thursday when everything shifted again. Daniel and I had been seeing each other more often. Quietly, carefully. Not hiding exactly, but not putting anything online either. We weren't stupid. We knew how it would look. But the thing was, it wasn't about revenge anymore. It didn't feel like some dramatic plot twist to get back at Lila. His felt easy. That morning he forwarded me an email from his cousin Rachel. She'd been one of Lila's bridesmaids. The subject line was, "You should see this." Inside was a screenshot of a private message Lila had sent to Rachel's fiancé. She tried to convince him that I'd always had a thing for Daniel. That I used the voice recording as a setup. That I manipulated him into calling off the wedding because I wanted him for myself. She even wrote, "I think Clara started planning this a long time ago. She's not as innocent as she acts. She wanted to ruin me." Reading it made my stomach turn. It wasn't just delusion anymore. It was desperation. She couldn't accept what had happened, so she created a story where none of it was her fault. Where I was some jealous puppet master and she was the helpless victim. But what Lila didn't know was that Rachel hated drama. And lies. She sent it straight to Daniel without hesitation. And that's when he lost it. He called Lila. I wasn't there for the conversation, but he told me what he said. "I was going to let you move on. I was going to walk away quietly. But you keep twisting the truth like it's Play-Doh. You can't destroy people just because you don't like how things turned out. You lied. You used me. You humiliated yourself. Own it." Lila didn't take it well. The next day she posted a full meltdown on Facebook. Not a story. Not a subtle jab. A 3-paragraph rant tagging Daniel, me, and 3 of her bridesmaids. She claimed we conspired against her. That she had proof of betrayal. That her own sister seduced her fiancé and destroyed her life. She told everyone I was mentally unstable, and that she was considering legal action for emotional damages. The comments blew up within minutes. Some people took her side. Others didn't. A few started asking questions she clearly didn't want to answer. "Wait, but didn't you cheat on Daniel with your ex? Didn't Clara pay for your rent last year? Why didn't you say any of this when the wedding was first called off?" Her narrative cracked. Fast. People she thought were loyal started peeling away. Not because of me. Not because of Daniel. Because people can smell desperation. And lies. That was the moment I realized. She wasn't angry because she lost him. She was angry because for the first time in her life the mask didn't work. Daniel told me later that her parents had reached out to him again. Not to apologize. To ask if there was any chance they could still reconnect. Now that some of their friends were starting to ask questions about the mortgage deal that fell through. He blocked them. He was done. And so was I. Almost. Because there was one more thing left to happen. The part one didn't plan. The part that changed everything. Again. About 3 weeks after Lila's public meltdown, I got a letter in the mail. Not an email. Not a text. A real handwritten letter. Messy cursive in blue ink, no return address. At first, I thought it was another guilt trip from our parents or a final attempt at manipulation from Lila. But when I opened it, I recognized the handwriting immediately. It wasn't hers. It was Adam's. Her ex. The one she wasn't supposed to be seeing. The one she said she still loved. The one whose name started this whole unraveling. His letter started with 2 sentences I never expected. I know you don't know me, but I know everything now. I thought you deserved to know too. He explained that after the wedding was called off, Lila had reached out to him again. At first he thought she was grieving. That maybe she was realizing something. But it didn't take long before he saw it for what it really was. She wasn't trying to reconnect. She was trying to replace Daniel. She told Adam that Daniel had been abusive. That I was mentally unstable, and had fabricated the voice memo to sabotage her. She even said Daniel and I had been having an affair for months behind her back. Adam didn't believe her. He said something about the way she talked, like she was performing, not confessing. He didn't say anything at the time. Just listened, nodded, and recorded the conversation. Then he sent it to Daniel. And to me. The recording was clear. Her voice was steady. Manipulative. Calculating. She said, "Claire has always been jealous of me. She's obsessed with Daniel. I think she's been planning this since we got engaged." Then she asked Adam if he'd be willing to tell people they were seeing each other again, so she could spin a new story. One where she left Daniel, not the other way around. Adam refused. He didn't owe her anything. But he did owe her consequences. So he gave us the recording. When I finished listening to it, I didn't feel shock. I didn't even feel anger. I felt closure. She had burned every bridge herself. I just handed her the matches. I sent the audio to my parents. I didn't include a message. I didn't need to. 2 days later, my dad texted me for the first time since the wedding was called off. "We didn't know. I'm sorry." I didn't respond. Lila hasn't spoken to me since. As far as I know, she moved out of state a few weeks later. No goodbye. No more posts. Just disappeared from all the circles she used to rule. Daniel and I still see each other. We never tried to define it, not at first. It wasn't about labels. It was about safety, honesty, peace. Things we hadn't had in a long time. But a month ago he asked if I wanted to take a weekend trip with him. I said yes. We stayed in a quiet little cabin up north. No drama. No noise. Just space to breathe. And one night, sitting by the fire, he said, "You saved me." I looked at him and said the truth. "No. You just finally saw what was real." And for the first time in a long time, so did I.